Now, the today I am discussing about the topic of disaster management, a topic on concept of hazardous uh, disasters and hazardous assessments of the environment. Like we can say this is the natural type of a hazardous. Now, more hazardous technologies occur in uh, assessment of the hazardous. For some type of hazardous, the actual dimensions of the occurrence may be altered if appropriate measures are taken for others. No known technologies can effectively after the occurrence itself. For example, that is the construction of houses and construction of leaves or plants on bank side of the streams. If the rain is goes to very least and that year, that type of year, therefore the development of the plants and small trees on bank side of the stream is very least amount, are not produces. Now, the more hazardous terminologies used in here and explain one by one. First one is the secondary hazardous, second one is the chronic hazardous, third one is the spatial dispersion, and fourth one is the temporal spacing, and next one or last one is the hazard escape. Therefore, now we can come on first technology, that is the secondary hazardous. Secondary hazardous are the following types, that is building collapse, dam failure, fire, hazardous materials spill, like any types of chemical spread on our environment, interruption of power, water supply, that is the communication, transportation, waste disposal or goes to collapsed, interrupt, landslides, soil liquefaction, tsunami, that is the tidal wave, heavy tidal waves, and water pollution. These are hazardous that follows as a result of other hazardous events. Okay. Hazardous secondary to an earthquake may be listed as above. We are concluded, we are explained that. Now next one is the chronic hazardous. Chronic hazardous is a group of hazardous that do not stem from one event but arise from continuous conditions. For example, famine, resources degradation, pollution, and large scale toxic contamination which accumulate over time, over all time. Now next one is the rate of onset. Rate of onset is that is a rapid onset on one slower acting natural hazardous, that is the speed of onset of a hazardous is an important variable since it conditions warning time. For example, that is the volcanoes can erupt suddenly and surprisingly, but usually gives indication of an eruption weeks or months in advance. Okay. Other hazards such as droughts, desertification and subsidence act slowly over a period of months of year. Hazards such as erosion of soil, sedimentation of soil, and varying lead to the with respect to the time. Now, next one is the spatial dispersion. The spatial dispersions understand by refers to the pattern of distribution of a hazardous over the geographic area in which the hazardous can occur. We can say it is totally dependent on the occurrence localities, like geographical features like coastal region, plain area, mountainous region, or deserts areas, etc. Next one is the temporal spacing. The temporal spacing refers to the sequencing and seasonally of events. Like some events are quite random, like volcanoes, while other have seasons, hurricane, tropical cyclones, river flood. This is the seasonal variation, seasonal events. Okay. And next one is the hazard escape. Hazard escape is a landscape of many hazard. That is the interaction among their society and technology at a variety of spatial scales creates a mosaic of risk that affect places and the people who live there. Therefore, we conclude this hazardous escape is the term is normally used in reference to a specific place or region. Like for example, the desert region is situated in Rajasthan. Coastal region situated in Gujarat, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, etc. And mountainous region is existence where in India, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, and some Bihar, Meghalaya. Seven Sisters situated on east part of India. Now, I am coming on the topic is next point is hazard identification and assessment. Okay. If you are living in an area therefore exposed to multiple hazards, for each hazard ask yourself the following questions and try to answer them. The answers are usually based on past experiences, like in past years how much flood, how years flood, how much intensity of the flood, how much droughts and that's past years, etc. They may be recorded or may be gathered through interviews, person to person. We all are goes to talk, person to person, taking an interview and asking a few past before decades which situation occur, and that area, that type of area, or the particular meteorological department or any other recording departments. We can take the data, past data easily. Some points occur in hazardous assessment is sometimes called hazard evaluation or hazard analysis. It is sometimes called analysis of the hazardous situation, hazardous condition. Now number one is it is question asking on the person. We all are goes on the site or any area where we are assessing. Therefore we can ask the following types of questions. Could the hazard affects the area you live in? Okay. Second question, in this hazard a significant threat there. Next question is, how often does it pose a threat? For example, once every 5 years or 10 years. What is close estimate of the population size that could be affected by the hazardous event? How much population are affected at that type of hazardous occur in that area? Very high, very low, very medium, severe, which types? What is the expected duration of the hazard? How month present the hazard, how year present the hazardous, how weeks present the hazardous. Like a flood, 15 days, 1 month, maximum 2 months occurrence of the flood in that particular area. Now next question asking for the purpose, the persons. What is the expected damage from the hazard event? Give a rating, very high, very medium, very low. That type of question asking for your recording departments, like meteorological departments or Government of India, to disaster management bodies to govern the all disaster cases. Okay. Now another type of question is that is what is the expected intensity of the impact expected? Give a rating. How predictable in its threats, and can the effect of the event be reduced? Now we can conclude that this all type of questions we asking the any recording data, recording type of departments, any person, and so on. Now next one is the hazard assessment approach. Hazard assessment approach. Okay. Some points given below. Number one is mainly 2 points, 2 category. First one is the available scientific information, including geological, geomorphic, and soil maps. Very important, soil map. Climate and hydrological data and topographic maps, aerial photographs, and satellite imagery. We can take, we can sit on now on that day, present scenario, we can take, we can the help of drone. We fly a drone at that particular area, and we can survey easily. But in a few years ago, we can sit on helicopter or any flying bodies and you can take the some imaginary pictures or camera, and you can take the aerial survey. But on that day it can be very easy formation. Because of that, the drone is flying easily. It is a small equipment made in a small budget, and you can fly, and you can take particular photographs, videos, and that particular areas. Now next one is the historical information. Both written reports and oral accounts from long term residents. These may include myths and legends. The historical information were collected, both written or oral. The people, any written document or any written data you can give, you are collected, and or oral data you are collected in that above format. That is the old resident, 10 year, 20 year, 50 year, last few decades, some generations live in that particular area, etc. For assessment of most natural phenomena, this is the natural phenomena, not artificial. Do not change the data and extrapolate or manage the data. Not, it is not proper way. One cannot accept complete data required to carry out a comprehensive assessment, depending on the situation, that type of situation. That is, the various methods are used with obvious variation in the degree of accuracy. Okay. Now in hazardous assessment approach, next one is the quantitative approach, and next slide continued. That is the some approaches in the hazardous assessment approach. Number one is the quantitative approach, second one is the qualitative approach, and third one is the probabilistic approach, and so on. Now we can explain first one by one. First, quantitative approach. The meaning of quantitative is clear, that it is a quantity, how much people affected, how caste are losses, how much building collapsed, how much area flooded, and how much persons affected in that type of hazardous. It is very simple. Therefore here mathematical function, that is a mathematical function, mathematically we can calculate and denote relationship between various variable considered to quantify the hazard. Now an example are taken. The probable flood that a particular rainfall could cause within a watershed area, particular that area where affected, that situated the area. Flood dimensions such as depth of flood and area of flooding, area of pounding would depend on the volume of water that flows into stream. Surface runoff is what, soil permeability and vegetation cover, etc. would determine this. All things we can determine, and then we are use empirical data, collected data, historical data, and records as well as. Therefore we are formulate a relationship between these many types of variables we can collect in the terms of data and that particular hazardous area. Now second one is the qualitative approach. Just it is clear, about the name of the meaning of that point, that is the qualitative approach. Qualitative approach, that is the ranking of the users, such as high, moderate, very low, assess of the hazard event. Some persons some person say the flood is very small, very small affection, and that type of my village or any place, this place. But some person say or state you, it is very harmful flood. Total complete village are pounded, surrounded by the water, and the connectivity of the village to districts and any other villages to be abruptly collapsed. The roads are destroyed. Some old houses to be collapsed, and the vegetables and agriculture totally collapsed. So this is the many types of the ranking given by users or given by any persons affected that area, belongs to that area. This qualitative ranking may be appropriate to take hazard mitigation decisions. It is vary person to person, but sufficient data to be taken by many persons, and we can come on a qualitative approach, that is the averaging or standard deviation taken, mean deviation taken of that type of data, and we can say this is the qualitative approach of the hazardous assessment. Now next one is the deterministic approach. Deterministic approach, a past event is selected and associated characteristics and the consequences are described, but the past impact data we can collect it from the area with any mode. This data can be combined with current conditions and possible exposure levels and impact. This would be adequate to visualize the recurrence of an event for community awareness, but leaves room for inaccuracies. Okay. And next one is the probabilistic approach. Next topic is probabilistic approach. After identify the hazardous that affect the planning area and assessment of the impacts from those hazardous, a probability analysis is undertaken. It provides an estimate of the probability of each hazard affecting our area or region, and that types of village, a particular district, particular state, anywhere. Now probability for each hazard may be categorized as high, moderate or low. 3 category we can divide the probability approach, probabilistic approach. And probability of occurrence can be calculated through research on past event. Probabilistic approach is a totally research work, and this can take many times uh, with respect to the qualitative approach and a deterministic approach. It is a large time taken to analyze the probabilistic approach, and we are using this types of approach in research work like sending a satellite on in your solar system. We can take some probabilistic calculation, and we can send a satellite with this technique. Now next slide is the hazardous mapping. Okay, hazardous mapping many category see in your slide, but this is the process of establishing geographically where and to what extent particular phenomenon is like to pose a threat to people, property, infrastructures and economic activities. Okay, probability of hazard occurrence varies from place to place. It is vary, and it is not similar to all places. The use of mapping to synthesize data or formulated data on natural hazards, and to combine these with socio-economic and data facilities, analyze this type of data, and it improves the communications among participants in the hazard management process and between planners and decision makers. Two important techniques used in here. Number one is the multiple hazardous mapping, and second one is the critical facilities mapping, that is the CFM, and the third one is the combined critical facilities maps and multiple hazards map, and the last one or fourth one is the mapping techniques and tools. Now we goes to first point, that is the multiple hazard mapping. Multiple means many types of data to map here. That is it is a valuable information on we can say individual natural hazards in a study area may appear on maps with varying scales, coverage and details, but these maps are difficult to use the risk analysis due to inability to communication conveniently. Therefore, we can formulate different types of mapping, that is we can take different types of scale. That is the regional scale hazardous mapping uses 1:, you can say we can assume, or we for example 1:1 lakhs to 1:2 lakhs 50,000. Okay, these are useful during planning stage of regional development. A particular area we can develop, and we can use or we can adopt these types of scale. But in urban investigations for infrastructure projects may require large scale that is the large scale maps, that is the 1:10,000. Large, not large scale, this is a medium scale, that is the 1:10,000, 1:5,000, 1:1,000, 1:5,000, etc. But the multiple hazard map is what? That is the MHM, also called composite synthesis or overlap map. This is an excellent tool to for frameworking awareness of natural hazard and for analyzing vulnerability and risk, especially when combined with the mapping of critical facilities. Its benefits include the following. Some following benefits of the multiple hazard mapping. Number one is the characteristics of the natural phenomena. Okay, and second one is it can call attention to hazards that may trigger others. That is, as example, for example, as earthquakes or volcanic eruptions triggered landslides, etc. A more precise view of the effects of natural phenomena on a particular area can be obtained. That is, this is the common mitigation and the common study of that types of area. Some areas requiring more information, additional assessment, that is the, in other words, we can say a specific hazard reduction techniques can be identified in this technique. Next one is the some areas requiring more information, additional assessments or specific hazard reduction technique can be identified in that point. Land use decision, which types of land are used, we can consider that type of land, it is important. Now the multiple use of hazard condition, several implications in emergency category, emergency cases, or we can say easily this is the emergency planning. For example, in India now that day COVID-19 occur here, therefore the government to plan emergency disasters plan. Which steps are taken in next 24 hours or next 6 hours or next 1 day, next 2 days, next 1 week. This is the emergency planning of the government, any government in the case of disasters or hazardous conditions. Okay. Now in emergency cases, it provides a more equitable basis for allocating disasters planning fund. So firstly, we can plan funds. Second one, it stimulates the use of more efficient integrated emergency preparedness and responses and recovery procedures. And the next one is it promotes the creation of cooperative agreements to involve all relative agencies or any other NGOs to help the government in the condition of hazardous or disasters condition, disasters hazardous cases. Number of hazardous elements to be shown in the map, range of relative severity, which types of severities occur here, it is also shown in the map, area to be covered, proposed used this map. Therefore, we conclude the complete multiple hazardous mapping is in the case of hazardous, the information should explain how a hazard may adversely affect in the life, property, or socio-economic activities, and that particular affected location we can study, or we can see in the map easily. This is the multiple hazardous mapping. Now next one is the critical facility facilities mapping. The critical facility mapping is the primary purpose of a critical facilities maps is to convey, clarify and accurately to planners and decision makers the location, capacity and service areas of critical facilities. Also, when combined with a multiple hazard map, a critical facilities mapping can show which area requires more information, which ones require different hazard reduction techniques, and which need immediate attention when a hazardous event occur and that particular region. Therefore, some benefits of the formulation of the critical facilities mapping, CFM. That is the first one is that the uniqueness of service of facilities in the area is made clear. Which type of area provided and that particular region. Okay. When a village is pounded by flood in all over surrounding, but some distance situated another village, this village is not surrounded by flood. Therefore, we can make a decision, and this village you can service provided immediately, where this types of village, that type of village where the village is surrounded or pounded by the water and occurrence of the flood in that type of village, we prefer to provide basic services like food, drinking water, medicines, some basic medicines, milk for babies, small babies, little babies, etc. Second one is the facilities that may require upgrading and expansion are identified. Next one is the impact of potential development on existing infrastructure can be assessed before a project is implemented. And the last one is the any need for more or better hazardous we can say assessment, that is the critical facilities mapping in this type of hazardous assessment are present here. Now next one is the combined facilities maps and multiple hazard map. In combined critical facilities maps and multiple hazardous maps, it is the advanced technique. These techniques are many advantages, because the multiple hazardous mapping as well as critical facilities mapping present in a particular place, particular platform. Therefore we are make any good decision taking and very good development planning process to be developed here. The planner has goals. The planner to be very quantify and very comfort to solve the problems. Okay, it appropriate techniques and to reduce any vulnerable are incorporated into each stage of the planning process. Social and economic disasters can be avoided or substantially avoiding these types of cases. Hazardous areas designing for residents and other persons. Okay, some basic benefits for the combining CFM and MHM. The project planners and decision makers are made aware of hazard to existing and proposed critical facilities prior to project implementation, where we provide the prior basis of the basic facilities in case of hazard. The extent to which new development can be affected. Now, that is the more realistic benefit cost ratios for new development areas or new development are possible. In some areas require different assessments, that is the emergency preparedness specific problem, any reduction and techniques, any applying any techniques problem we can solve in that types of mapping. Now next one and last one is in slide is mapping techniques and tools. Mapping techniques and tools. Some knowledge by community are collected, that is the simple mapping of local experience can be achieved by using local knowledge tools, rural areas, urban areas, survey on historic events, scientific investigation and research. That is the very useful scientific investigation or research back previous years, which types of research occur there. We can collect the geological data and any meteorological data with the help of any technique, and we can use geographic information technique, that is a GIS, GPS and photogrammetric survey, aerial survey, and we all over facilities are over all types of work used in these types of hazardous mapping, that is the facilities and assessment of that type of work. We can conclude the all over topic, that is the process and complete process is goes to a concept, that is the hazardous disaster and hazardous assessment we can complete. It is a process, and we are formulate the step to step, and comes out a very good result, and we can use in the condition of hazardous condition at that particular types of event or area